Hi, welcome to the Brief Book Reviews channel, otherwise known as An Old Guy Reviews the Book that he's read this week. So what's the old guy read this week? Well, the book I've read this week is this one. It's called We're All Guilty Here by author Karin Slaughter. It was released as a hardback here in the United Kingdom by HarperCollins on the 19th of June 2025. And for those like me that like to have a proper book in their hands, you'll note that the first UK print run of the hardback edition of this book is a collector's edition. And if I take the dust cover off, you'll see it has a really nice embossed cover. So that's it. So he says trying to put the book back together without ruining it. Right. So what's it all about, how you say? Well, Karin Slaughter books I've reviewed before on the channel have been about GBI investigator Will Trent and medical examiner Sarah Linton. Karin Slaughter's well-known author, well-established author, but this is a new set of characters, and I guess will probably be a new series. So what's it all about, I hear you say? Well, picture the scene. A small town in Georgia called North Falls. Everybody knows each other, everybody knows each other's business. It's a typical small town. The central character in this book is called Emmy, to be precise, Emmy Lou Clifton. The Cliftons basically run the joint in North Falls. It's a large family, and they've been there for multi-generations, and they own real estate. And in fact, Emmy Lou's father, Gerald, is the local sheriff. So Emma's a police officer, and she's been taught by her father, Gerald, all the tricks of the trade of becoming, and considers herself a good police officer. He tells her about DFR, which means don't feel right. It's a sort of, sometimes things just don't feel right, and they have this code where he says DFR. He also tells her about what he calls the tingle, whereas you just get that more sixth sense that something isn't quite right as well. So I guess, perhaps in the UK we call it a copper's nose. So book kicks off with a firework display. It's July the 4th celebrations, and most of the town are around the lake waiting to see the fireworks to celebrate Independence Day, July the 4th. Emma's on duty. Unfortunately, she's just had a row with her husband, Jonah. Jonah's like part-time musician, full-time waster, and he's continually letting Emmy down. And they have a row in front of most of the audience, and Emmy is thinking, well, I'm just going to have to leave him to it. I've got work to do. But she's distracted. She's not in a great mood, because she'll know that most of the village, most of the town, should I say, are busily taking pictures of happy families for Facebook, and she's just had a massive row with her husband, and they all know each other. So we cut to another couple of North Falls residents. One of them is called Madison, a young teenage girl called Madison Dalrymple. Her mate, Cheyenne Baker, is supposed to be meeting her, and she's late, and this is a bit worrying. They've got a cunning plan to leave town. They're two rebellious teenagers. Both parents blame the other girl for their daughter's behaviour, saying that that one's a bad influence on t'other one, and they've got a bit of a rep out of Madison and Cheyenne, but underneath it all they're just girls that are no longer children but not quite adults, and are struggling with that. And the confines of a small town aren't exactly great for them. They want to get out to the big city, if you will. So Madison's a bit worried that Cheyenne hasn't contacted her. So she sees Emmy. She knows Emmy. Emmy's best friend is her mother, Hannah. And she goes up to Emmy, and Emmy's thinking, oh, here we go, just some more teenage drama. That's it, I'm going to go and hide. So she goes and hides in what's called in the book a porta potty, what we'd call in the UK a portaloo. The mobile toilets put up when outside events are put on, and basically hides in there. So comes out, and unfortunately in the next day or two they find out that there's been a problem. Both Madison and Cheyenne are missing. Cheyenne looks as though she's been knocked off her bike. They can't find Madison. Very soon this becomes kidnap, probable murder, and the whole town is out searching for the girls, and Emmy's ridden with guilt because she's thinking, I had a row with my husband, I ignored Madison, what if I hadn't ignored her? And because Hannah's a friend, she lets it slip to Hannah that she did ignore Madison, and that unfortunately breaks the friendship because Hannah can't stand it. Eventually, they charge somebody with the murder of the two girls, but it leaves the whole town a bit stunned because this isn't what happens in North Falls. So we cut to 12 years later, and Emmy is now obviously 12 years older. Her son, who was 11 at the time of the first murder, is now actually Cole has actually joined the police force. Her dad's getting older. He's not as fit as he used to be, and he's clearly struggling. Her mother's also unwell. She's got Alzheimer's, and she's getting worse and worse and not recognising who her children are. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in Emmy's life. And what's made worse is that the guy originally charged with the murders of the two girls, Madison and Cheyenne, has been released on parole because there is a statement, somebody's made a statement that they were with him at the time of the murder, so it couldn't have been him. He's also on a potential rape charge, but as you can imagine, when he's released, people are a bit wary. Unfortunately, to make that matters worse, 12 years later from the first abduction, a young girl, a 14-year-old girl called Paisley Walker, goes missing. And immediately the town folk are up in arms because they think the guy that was arrested at the original time is now back out on parole, and strangely enough, the girl's gone missing. So Emmy is full of regret from the first time because she thinks if she'd have listened to Madison that night when the firework display, maybe she could have done something about it. So Emmy is absolutely determined to catch the perp this time. And as with most modern crime dramas, we have a podcaster who is promoting the release of the guy originally charged for the two murders, saying this guy's innocent. He might be a bit of a wrong un, he might be a bit of a drug dealer, but he didn't commit the murders. So Emmy's full of guilt, and she's full of, I've got to do it right this time. P.S. Did we get the wrong guy in the first place? She's joined in the hunt for Paisley by an FBI investigator as a specialist in serial murders, and someone who's basically just retired but has been taken on as a consultant. And we find, and I don't want to give too much of the plot away, that person has links to North Falls. So all this going on, we've got a good murder mystery. We're led down a few blind alleys where we think a certain person is culpable, but not. Lots of twists and turns, and a really good murder mystery. The thing I liked about it is that, it's a good read just straight as a murder mystery, but it's got a bit of depth to it because you empathise with the character of Emmy, and in particular, you get she's worried about her father who's getting older and not well. Her mother's also not well. She's trying to train her son to be a good police officer, and she's absolutely ridden with guilt that 12 years ago when the first two murders occurred, she didn't do enough and she didn't get it right. So she really wants to get it right. So you get all that. You also get the fact that this is a small town and everybody knows each other, but it turns out that maybe they don't know each other. And there's all sorts of stuff going on that people don't know about. So a really enjoyable read. It's 435 pages. And I think there are probably more tales to come from North Falls, and potentially we'll see another book. But I enjoyed this. It's a good read. As I said, 435 pages. I guess, with Karin Slaughter, the pedigree is good. There's always, you're not going to get a bad book, but I really enjoyed this, and I think, this will probably go down as one of the better books. So I think that's it for this week's brief book review. 10/10 till we do it again. Thanks for watching. Bye.